Session is resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, under the calendar of unfinished business, I move to resume consideration of House Bill number 4058 as contained in Committee Report number 7, and for this purpose, direct the Secretary General to read the title of the said measure.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of House Bill number 4058.
House Bill number 4058, an act appropriating funds for the operation of the Government of Republic of the Philippines from January 1 to December 31, 2026.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, the parliamentary status of House Bill number 4058 is that it is in the period of amendments, and we have already adopted the committee amendments last Wednesday, the 8th of October 2025. I now move to recognize the sponsor of the bill, Representative Michaela Angela B. Swansing, Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations.
Representative Swansing, Chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations, is recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much to the Majority Leader. I am now open to deliberating on the amendments pertaining to the General Appropriations Bill.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, earlier we have distributed to the members copies of the substitute bill of House Bill number 4058. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Section 106 of our rules, I move to amend by substitution the entire bill as contained in Committee Report number 7 with the contents of the substitute bill earlier distributed to all the members. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Chair, this is not an objection. I just want to be clarified.
Majority Leader.
If the
yes.
Majority Leader would
Madam
allow.
Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Sidungab.
The Honorable
This is an
Sidungab is
objection. I just
recognized.
want to be clarified because a substitute bill is actually a new bill. And if we look at our rules, consolidation and substitution are both considered the same. By way of substituting the new bill, are we not going to introduce a new bill? Because as per my experience at the committee level in the past, when there are about 2 or more bills related, they are consolidated into one and substituted. Well, in this case, if we substitute now during the period of amendment, will it not require a new procedure, a new process going back to debating?
Majority Leader, please
Yes.
respond.
Madam Speaker, to respond to the query of the gentleman from Davao, again, as previously mentioned under Section 106 of our rules covering amendments, it says on the top of page 68, a motion by the Majority Leader to amend by substitution of the entire bill or joint resolution shall precede consideration of individual amendments to the bill or joint resolution under consideration.
Yes, I do accept that. As again, I am not objecting, but I just want to be clarified with the procedure, considering that it is a new bill. So I remember there was one instance in the past, in the reproductive health bill, that during the period of amendments, a substitute bill was introduced and it was accepted by the author, the late Honorable Lagman. But the new bill was also subjected to a new kind of debate. I'm just saying this and for just purposes of accepting the explanation. I'm just pointing out that a new bill will require another procedure. So I just hope that it will be addressed, Mr. Speaker.
Your comments duly noted. Majority Leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker, just to continue with the query of Kong Ungab, there were 7 instances in which this rule was used, particularly with the Create More Bill, the Cooperative Code, Maharlika Bill, Bayanihan Tahilas 1, Reproductive Health, the BARMM law, and the Train law, all of which were replaced by substitute bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to, because if our purpose is to replace the small committee procedure, then the purpose is for transparency. So this should be more transparent. than
Madam
the previous.
Speaker,
Majority Leader.
with regards to that query, may I move that we request the sponsor, Kong Swan Singh, for her clarification.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Swan Singh, you're recognized.
Madam Speaker, in terms of the procedure, so all the amendments that were incorporated into the second reading version of the General Appropriations Bill, which were circulated to the members earlier before the plenary session, were deliberated on by the Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee last October 8, 2025. So all of the whole deliberation was live streamed, and it lasted for around, I believe, 20 hours in total, including the first Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee. So in terms of transparency, we can vouch for that on the part of the Committee on Appropriations, as well as the Budget Amendments Review Subcommittee, that all of the amendments were deliberated on and are reflected in the second reading version, and there will be no other amendments that will be incorporated into the General Appropriations Bill after it is approved on second reading. So we can commit to our distinguished colleague, the Honorable Isidro Ungab, that all the amendments were deliberated on, that are accordingly reflected in the second reading version, and there will be no other amendments after the GAB is approved on second reading.
Thank you, Honorable Swan Singh. Majority Leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker, thank you. That being the case, I repeat my motion. I move to amend by substitution the entire bill as contained in Committee Report Number 7 with the contents of the substitute bill earlier distributed to all the members. I so move, Madam Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to proceed with the individual amendments, if any.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Sergio Dagook from the party list APEC for his individual amendments.
The Honorable Sergio Dagook from APEC parties is recognized for his amendments.
Madam Speaker, apologies, I withdraw my motion and move to recognize Jose Manuel Chel Diokno from party list Akbayan for his individual amendments.
The Honorable Chel Diokno is recognized for his individual amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am referring, Madam Speaker, to the unprogrammed appropriations, specifically Volume 1B, pages 659 to 662. We ask that the Honorable Sponsor consider the following amendment: that all pertinent line items under unprogrammed appropriations with a total amount of 243,222,549,000 pesos be revised to zero. If these items are truly part of the budget priorities, then they should be included in the programmed appropriations of the respective departments' budgets. I so move, Madam Speaker.
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, to respond to the proposed individual amendment, so the committee has already included in the latest version of the General Appropriations Bill a revised special provision pertaining to the strengthening assistance for government infrastructure and social programs. In the latest version, in the second reading version of the GAB, wala na pong sagip. Infrastructure projects would no longer be part of the authorized uses for unprogrammed appropriations, save for infrastructure projects under foreign assisted projects. So ngayon po, wala nang sagip. Meron na lang pong strengthening assistance for government social programs. So ang papayagan na lang po natin na sa loob ng yung dating sagip would be those relating to social programs. So those that are there now, out of the 80 billion that was originally included under SAGIP, ang laman na lang po ng strengthening assistance for social programs would be 45 billion in total. And all of those relate to programs under the Department of Agriculture for subsidies to farmers, rice subsidies, DSWD as an augmentation for the 4-piece program, given that there is an expected shortfall in the funding for 4-piece, given the reduction from last year. So nakaabang po yun doon. So the 45 billion left under strengthening assistance for social programs all relate to social programs. Wala na pong infrastructure projects sa SAGIP. Now, in terms of the treatment for the infrastructure projects under foreign-assisted projects, as much as we would like to put all of them as separate line items under programmed appropriations, the FAPS projects, the FAPS infrastructure projects that are currently on the unprogrammed appropriations are there because of this specific reason. These projects did not make it to the deadline during the budget preparation. For foreign-assisted projects to be included as programmed appropriations, it would require two things. First, a finalized contract with a multilateral or bilateral partner providing the foreign assistance, and second, NEDA board approval. These projects that are currently under unprogrammed appropriations are those FAPS projects that did not comply or did not make it to the deadline for these requirements. And hindi po natin pwedeng hindi pondohan ito sapagkat mga commitments po natin to with our multilateral and bilateral partners. For example, the World Bank, ADB, COICA, and JICA. And given that we know for a fact that these projects will start in the year 2026, we need to fund them because otherwise we will be reneging on our international commitments. So for that reason, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, as much as we would also like to recognize the point of our distinguished colleague, the Honorable Shell Jokno, to remove unprogrammed appropriations in toto, we are unable to do that because we need to put in funding for foreign-assisted projects under unprogrammed appropriations. The other items po na kailangan talaga under unprogrammed appropriations would be budgetary support to GOCCs. We also need to provide for risk management. Otherwise, there would be commitment penalties. There's also one refund of service development fee for the right to develop Nampedai property in Tokyo, Japan. That is also an international commitment. Providing the prior year's LGU shares, that is provided for by law. And in terms of the revised AFP modernization program, also provided by law. Fiscal support arrears for comprehensive automotive resurgence strategy program, also provided for by law. Marawi siege victims compensation program, also provided for by law. And the comprehensive and adequate insurance protection of strategically important government assets and interest. Very important for us to keep that there because in case of these unforeseen circumstances, we need to be able to provide funding right away. And lastly, for payment of personal services requirements, these kailangan po talagang iabang yon. So I can, even though we are unable to accommodate the proposed amendment of the Honorable Jokno, we can assure that in the latest second reading version of the General Appropriations Bill, we have already put in place safeguards to prevent potential abuses of disbursements towards infrastructure projects from unprogrammed appropriations. And with that, Madam Speaker, the committee rejects the proposed amendment.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the amendment.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion
Madam
is
Speaker,
approved.
yes, Madam Speaker.
Proposed amendment is lost.
If I may, we object.
Yes,
First of all, I find that the reasons given by the Honorable Chair, whom I greatly respect, are very shallow and would be rewarding of negligence on the part of the other government agencies. At the same time, I believe we have a right to ask that this amendment, which has not been accepted, that I move that the body proceed to vote on the proposed individual amendment.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment, which is objected by the Honorable Jokno. I now move to divide the House. For the information of the body, an aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and the nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable Jokno. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion, say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority
Chair,
Leader.
Madam Speaker,
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, we would like to be clear
Majority Leader.
as to the votes.
Madam
As to the
Speaker,
votes, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
I move to recognize the Honorable Ungab.
Thank
Honorable
you.
Sid
Thank you,
Ungab is
Mr. Majority
recognized.
Leader. I just want to be clear as to who voted in favor and against. Can we count it by tellers? May I move, Madam Speaker?
Session suspended. Session resumed. Let me reiterate my ruling that the aye votes is very clear. The appeal is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move that we recognize Representative Laila De Lima of ML Party List for her individual amendments.
The Honorable Laila De Lima is recognized for individual amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Sponsor.
Please proceed, Honorable Laila De Lima.
Thank you. I propose an amendment to the budget of the Office of the President, of the Vice President. I said, sorry po. So icebreaker muna. Again, I propose an amendment to the budget of the Office of the Vice President in the form of a reduction from 889.24 million to its 2025 level of 733.2 million, representing a reduction of 156 million or 17.5%. This is found in House Gab Volume 1A, page 2, line 19. Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, may I briefly explain my proposed amendment? Every peso in this budget is the people's money. And when we demand accountability, we do so not out of hostility, but out of duty. Duty to the Constitution, duty to the people, and duty to the truth. Let me then again put this on record. VP Sara Duterte's repeated refusal to face this chamber is an insult. It spits on the duty of accountability. While she clings to millions in public funds, she refuses to explain. This is arrogance. Para tayong mga magulang na tinatabig at sinisigawan ng anak na tumatangging magpaliwanag kung saan napunta ang baon. Kahangalan ang magsabi na aksidente lamang ito o resulta ng pagkakamali. Malinaw na pangmamaliit ito sa Kongreso at sa taong bayan. Sa madaling salita po, paulit-ulit na tayong binabastos ng Vice Presidente. Congress holds the purse, and when a child squanders the family's money without answers, the remedy is clear. Bawasan ang baon hanggang matuto. Let me be clear. This reduction is discipline, not demolition. Malayo ito sa ginawa ng kanyang ama na ginamit ang budget para pahirapan ang Commission on Human Rights, a constitutional body created to defend the powerless. What we do here is different. We call out entitlement. We confront arrogance. We demand respect. Public money is not a toy. Hindi ito pabuya na pinamimigay sa mga imbentong tao na may imbentong pangalan sa mga imbentong project. It is a trust. And until the Vice President learns respect, this House must act as a parent that disciplines a brat. Alam ko po that this move will generate varied reactions. It might even be exploited by certain camps to elicit sympathy for VP Sara. Diyan naman sila magaling kadramahan. Pero hindi pwedeng mangibabaw ang drama sa kung ano ang tama, sa kung ano ang makatwiran, at sa kung ano ang nararapat sa pagtatanggol sa dignidad ng institusyong ito at ng proseso ng pambansang budget. So, Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, I respectfully but firmly propose the reduction of the budget of the Office of the President, Vice President, from 889.24 million to its 2025 level of 733.2 million. I so move. Maraming salamat po.
Madam
What
Speaker,
does the sponsor say?
You first.
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, I move to suspend.
Session suspended. Session resumed. The Honorable De Lima has an individual amendment. What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, the committee accepts the proposed amendment subject to the following. First, we want to protect the interests of the personnel within the Office of the Vice President. So given that the current proposal of the Office of the Vice President reflects the salary increases of the said personnel in compliance with the salary standardization law, we will ensure that the personnel services will reflect that for the benefit of the employees of the Office of the Vice President. And second, we will also ensure that the final budget of the Office of the Vice President will be sufficient for the office to be able to perform its mandate. Sisiguraduhin po natin na hindi po maapektuhan ang pagganap ng Office of the Vice President sa tungkulin ng opisina sa kanilang budget para sa taong 2026.
Salamat po. Indeed, hindi naman talaga po maapektuhan. Kasi,
Majority Leader, what does the House say?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Madam Speaker, I move to accept the proposed amendment.
There's a motion to approve the proposed amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. Okay.
Madam Speaker,
Majority Leader.
I move to recognize the Honorable Ungab.
The Honorable Sid Ungab is recognized.
Madam Speaker, thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. Thank you to the sponsoring chairman. This is an objection at the same time since the chair has ruled an appeal to the decision of the chair.
Majority Leader.
Not to decrease further the budget of the Office of the Vice President. Sobra na ang laki ng ibinaba ng budget ng opisina ng Office of the Vice President. Despite the drastic reductions for
Madam Speaker,
Majority Leader.
may we request that the Honorable Ungab stick to the motion to appeal the ruling of the sponsor rather than have an explanation?
Yes, Madam Speaker. The budget of the OVP has been deducted 2 times already in 2024 and 2025, and another reduction in 2026 with really, I would say, cripple the office. Only 2/3 of the original budget has been left. So I would like to appeal the decision of the chair.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being an appeal, Madam Speaker, there is an appeal to the ruling of the chair to reject the proposed amendment. I now move to divide the House. For the information of the body, an aye vote sustains the appeal and the nay vote defeats it. The majority kindly solicits a nay vote.
All those in favor to the appeal say aye. Aye. All those against say nay. Nay. The nays have it. The appeal is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, moving on, I move that we recognize the Honorable Antonio Tino for his individual amendments.
The Honorable Antonio L. Tino from the ACT Teachers Party is recognized for his individual amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am one with the motion of the Honorable Jokno in moving for the total removal of the unprogrammed appropriations. However, since that motion has been lost, then I would like to propose some amendments to the special provisions in the unprogrammed appropriations. The first being to special provision number 1, availment of unprogrammed appropriations. I move that the language on release of funds be reverted to its original wording. Now, in the current wording, Madam Speaker, it says here, release of funds shall be subject to the submission of a special budget request and other relevant budgetary requirements in accordance with applicable laws. However, in earlier wordings of this provision, going back very many years, the wording is as follows. Release of funds shall be subject to the submission of a special budget pursuant to Section 35, Chapter 5, Book 6 of Executive Order Number 292, Series of 1987, and the following, and so on. That's the important amendment that I would like to propose. And now let me explain my proposed amendment. My proposal is to revert to the original language, which specifically refers to Section 35 of Book 6 of the Administrative Code. Because this is the specific law on availment of lump sum funds. And very clearly, unprogrammed appropriations fall under unprogrammed appropriations. And what is more important is that Section 35 specifically provides that any availment of lump sum funds requires the submission of a special budget, not a special budget request, which is what is mentioned in the provision, a special budget to be approved by the President. So, napakalinaw po sa batas na gumagabay sa mga lump sum funds, kailangan may approval ng Presidente. Why is that important? Because that serves as a safeguard against abuse of these lump sum funds. At ang nangyari po nga ngayon, with the flood control issue, yung unprogrammed appropriations ay inabuso. No? Napakalaki ng mga bagong proyekto na inaprubahan dito. So therefore, I move, Madam Speaker, that we revert to the language, and let me read again, that the special provision now read, release of funds shall be subject to the submission of a special budget pursuant to Section 35, Chapter 5, Book 6 of EO 292, Series of 1987.
What does
That
the
is my
sponsor
motion.
say?
Madam Speaker, with due respect to our honorable colleague, the Honorable Tino, this is something that I've already addressed during the debates on the lump sum funds. So the current special provision, Special Provision 1, as mentioned by the Honorable Tino, is a correction of the special provisions that were there in previous General Appropriations Acts. The reason why the reference to Section 35 was removed was because there was some inaccuracy in terms of referencing Section 35 in the first place. Because there is also jurisprudence with regard to this, and I believe I have shared the same with our distinguished colleague during the deliberations. The jurisprudence clearly states that the prevailing document in relation to the availment of unprogrammed appropriations would be the special budget request. And for that reason, in the current special provision as contained in the second reading version of the General Appropriations Bill, we retained that correction. So we removed any reference to Section 35. And with that, Madam Speaker, the committee respectfully rejects the amendment proposed by our distinguished colleague.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
Madam Speaker, I object.
Majority Leader?
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected by the Honorable Tino. I now move to divide the House. For the information of the body, an aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and a nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to be by the Honorable Tino. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment, say aye. Aye. All those against the motion, say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Mr. Chair, a clarification. The ruling was that the ayes have it. The ayes
Yes.
Madam
support
Speaker, to clarify,
Majority Leader.
the ruling was that the ayes have it as a result because an aye vote sustained the motion to reject the amendment.
So I repeat the ruling. The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move to recognize the
Madam Speaker, I still have another proposed amendment.
Yes. Proceed to your next
Sorry.
amendment, Honorable Tino.
Thank you. Still on the special provisions on unprogrammed appropriations, since the unprogrammed appropriations have been retained. This has to do with special provision number 9 of the unprogrammed appropriations. Amounts under the unprogrammed appropriations. The DBM is hereby authorized to approve the following: use of appropriations within the authorized purposes, and B, use of appropriations under the purposes of the unprogrammed appropriations, except the budgetary support to GOCCs and the support to foreign assisted projects, to cover deficiencies in the amounts authorized in any of the purposes under the unprogrammed appropriations. Madam Speaker, this is a insidious and very dangerous provision. It empowers the DBM to take any amount in the unprogrammed, for any purpose in the unprogrammed appropriations, and enables the DBM to augment this amount with any other of the amounts authorized in unprogrammed appropriations. Ibig po sabihin, sa simpleng salita, binibigyan ng DBM ng kapangyarihan na i-realign ang halos buong amount ng unprogrammed appropriations para sa anumang purpose. No? So kaya po, nagiging only na discretionary fund ang unprogrammed appropriations dito. Kung sinabi po ng Kongreso na it authorizes, say, 100 billion for a specific purpose, no? Let's say, pension and gratuity, 100 billion, pero pwede pong dagdagan pa ng kahit magkano ng DBM for as long as it falls within the total amount of the unprogrammed appropriation. So dapat po tanggalin ito, pambihirang kapangyarihan at discretion ang binibigay dito, at lalo pa at tinatanggal po nung ni-reject na proposal ko kanina, tinatanggal na po yung final check and balance na dapat presidente ang accountable sa unprogrammed appropriations. Dapat tanggalin na rin po ang kapangyarihang ito na binibigay sa DBM. Therefore, I propose that number 9 be deleted. The special provision number 9 be deleted.
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, in response to the proposed amendment, so the specific example that was mentioned by the Honorable Tino with regard to PGF, just to clarify po, those are not under unprogrammed appropriations. PGF is a lump sum fund, but it is not an unprogrammed appropriations. The special provision number 9 specifically provides that the DBM is authorized to approve use of appropriations or movement or to cover existing deficiencies only within the unprogrammed appropriations. Right. And as lengthily explained by this representation earlier, we have already put in the necessary safeguards within the unprogrammed appropriations that would disallow potential abuses of unprogrammed appropriations for infrastructure projects. And with that, Madam Speaker, The committee respectfully rejects the amendment proposed by our distinguished colleague.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the amendment.
There's a motion to reject
Object.
the proposed amendment.
I object, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which is objected to by the Honorable Tino. I now move to once again divide the House. For the information of the body, an aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and a nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote to reject the said amendment.
There's a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable Tino. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment say aye.
Aye!
All those against the motion say nay. Nay! The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Thank you. I am done. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move to recognize Representative Presley De Jesus of PhilReca Party List for his individual amendments.
The Honorable Presley De Jesus from PhilReca Party List is recognized for his individual amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, distinguished colleagues, and to the Honorable Chairperson of this Committee on Appropriations. This representation wishes to propose new special provisions to the subsidy of the Energy Regulatory Commission. The same proposal was also transmitted to your good office last October 7, 2025. Madam Speaker, in page 425 of Volume 1-B, House Bill number 4058, General Appropriations Bill, Fiscal Year 2026, line 37, I move to insert the following provisions as special provision number 1, use of income. In addition to the amounts appropriated herein, the Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, is authorized to use a portion of maximum of 50% of its income derived from fees, assessments, licenses, and other charges to over its budgetary requirements, including trainings and development, personal services, capital outlays, maintenance, and other operating expenses, and such other expenditures as may be deemed necessary by the Commission in the effective performance of its regulatory functions subject to existing laws, rules, and regulations. Madam Speaker, the justification of the proposed special provision authorizing the ERC to retain and utilize a portion of its income is firmly grounded on its mandate under Republic Act number 9136, or the Electric Power Industry Reform Act, also known as EPIRA, which designates the ERC as an independent, quasi-judicial regulatory body tasked with promoting consumer welfare and ensuring the reliability, quality, and affordability of electric power services. To effectively discharge these functions, the ERC must be provided with sufficient and sustainable resources. It is the opinion of this representation that allowing the Commission to use up to 50% of its revenues derived from fees, assessments, licenses, and other charges will provide flexibility and fiscal autonomy consistent with its independent character under the law. Remember, Madam Speaker, 2024, they have a measly 888 million, 2025, 902 million, and now, for 2026, it's only 877 million. Madam Speaker, does the sponsor accept these amendments?
What does the pleasure for Madam Sponsor?
Madam Speaker, in response to the amendment raised by our distinguished colleague, the Honorable De Jesus, currently, among the laws that are in place, there is no law that currently allows for the ERC to use its income. And in general, for a particular OEO to be allowed to utilize their income for their own purposes, that would require a special law. This particular provision requested for by our distinguished colleague would require new legislation. And with that, Madam Speaker, the committee respectfully declines, or rather rejects, the proposed amendment of our distinguished colleague.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
Madam
There's a
Speaker,
motion.
I insist that this must be included kung gusto natin makapagtrabahong ERC.
Majority Leader.
Just to clarify, Madam Speaker, is that an objection?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable De Jesus. I now move to divide the House. For the information of the body, an aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and a nay vote defeats it. The majority kindly solicits an aye vote for the majority.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable De Jesus. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion say nay.
Nay!
The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker,
Madam
If
Speaker,
I
I move to recognize.
The Honorable Swan Singh is recognized.
Madam Speaker, very quickly po, this particular special provision currently being proposed by our distinguished colleague was already the subject of a direct veto, comprising the President's veto message back in December 2017. And since then, no legislation has been passed with regard to the special provision being requested for. Thank you very much po.
Majority Leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable De Jesus.
Please
for
proceed.
His final
Honorable
amendment.
De Jesus.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On the same note, Madam Speaker, in the same page 425 of Volume 1B, House Bill 4058, General Appropriation Bills for Fiscal 2026, after the previously added Special Provision Number 1 proposed earlier by this representation, I move also to insert the following provision as Special Provision Number 2, subject to formatting style. The additional budget may also be allocated for the revival or reorganization of the Distribution Management Committee and the Grid Management Committee, which shall provide the Commission with access to highly technical experts essential in the exercise of its mandate. The justification of this, Madam Speaker, this provision will strengthen ERC's institutional capacity by supporting the revival on reorganization of the Distribution Management Committee and the Grid Management Committee, which will provide the independent regulator access to highly technical experts to address urgent issues in the power sector. Such expertise is crucial to ensuring the reliability of the power grid, the operational integrity of distribution utilities, and the protection of consumers from inefficiencies and unfair practices in the industry. Madam Speaker, does the sponsor accept these amendments?
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, the same paragraph read by our distinguished colleague is also part of the same special provision subsumed under use of income, and for the reason stated earlier, that would require new legislation that is currently not in place. The committee respectfully rejects the proposed amendment of our distinguished colleague.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
Madam Speaker, I object.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable De Jesus. I now move to divide the House. For the information of the body, once again, an aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and the nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable De Jesus. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. The amendment is lost.
I have
Majority
only
Leader.
one.
Please proceed.
Madam,
Yes, the
Madam
Honorable De
Speaker,
Jesus.
distinguished colleagues, this representation wishes to propose amendment to the General Provisions, Volume 1B of GAB Fiscal Year 2026. Madam Speaker, in page 680 of Volume 1-B, House Bill 4058, General Appropriations Bill, Section 58, entitled Authorized Deductions, line 14, I move to insert a comma, after the word BIR in phrase, obligations due the BIR. The justification for this, Madam Speaker, under the current phrasing, the law may be read as if obligation due the BIR and contributions to PhilHealth, GSIS, and HDMF forms a single continuous unit. Without that comma, it could appear that all these obligations taxes and contributions alike are of equal standing under one category of obligations due the BIR. The insertion of a comma after the word BIR ensures that taxes are satisfied ahead of all other deduction. This restores statutory clarity and ensures that proper hierarchy of obligations as intended by law. It may seem that we are only debating a single comma, but in truth, we're clarifying the law to prevent billions of pesos in potential misrepresentation and secure the fiscal lifeblood of the state by giving due precedence to taxes owed to the BIR. In short, no gray area, Madam Speaker. Does the sponsor accept these amendments?
What's the pleasure of our sponsoring chair?
Move to suspend, Madam
Session
Speaker.
suspended. Session resumed. There's a proposed amendment. What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, the insertion of a comma would weaken the provision as it would alter both the grammatical construction and the legislative intent. Placing a comma with separate obligations due to BIR, that quote, from quote, contributions to PhilHealth, GSIS, and HDMF, thereby creating two distinct clauses. This change would limit the phrase, quote, shall be satisfied ahead of all other obligations, end quote, to apply only to the latter. And with that, Madam Speaker, the committee respectfully rejects the proposed amendment introduced by our distinguished colleague.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
There's
Again,
a motion to reject
again,
the
majority
proposed. Are you
Madam Speaker,
objecting?
I object again.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which is objected to by the Honorable De Jesus. I now move to divide the House. An aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and a nay vote defeats it. The majority kindly solicits an aye vote.
There's a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable De Jesus. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion, say nay.
Nay!
The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Tama na lang, talo pa.
Majority Leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I now move to recognize Paulo Marcoleta of Sagip Party List for his individual amendments.
The Honorable Paulo Henry Marcoleta from Sagip Party List is recognized for his individual amendment.
Madam Speaker, before I begin with my amendment, let me just manifest na lahat po ng aming proposed amendments
Please
ng
proceed to
minority
your amendment.
ay nireject po.
Honorable Marcoleta, please proceed to your amendment.
At ang Vice President na budget lang po ang inapprove ng plenaryo.
What's your amendment,
Yun
Honorable Marcoleta?
lang naman po. Anyway, Madam Speaker, this representation manifests a reduction to the funding items listed under the Presidential Communications Office, specifically under Item 2, lines 9 to 13, page 17 of House Bill number 4058, allocating the amount of 1,400,150,000 to the PCO for the hosting of the ASEAN Summit and meetings in 2026. As I have pointed out previously and repeatedly, it is my position that this funding is redundant, unnecessary, excessive, and a potential avenue for misuse or corruption. Meron na pong 10.7 billion na nakalodge sa Office of the President para sa ASEAN Summit. At a total of 17.450 billion for this ASEAN chairship. Yung pong 1.4 billion para sa PCO ay isang kalabisan. Kaya gusto ko po ay ilipat ito sa mga ahensya na mas karapat dapat makatanggap. Madam Speaker, may I proceed with the line, proposed line
Please
amendments?
proceed.
Madam Speaker, I have the following proposed amendments to the General Appropriations Bill. For PCO proper, appropriation for ASEAN Summit and meetings in 2026, line 9, page 17, item 2, Office of the President, delete 553,703,000.
What's the pleasure for sponsoring chair?
Actually, I have several
Please
lines.
proceed then.
Shall I recite
Honorable
them line by
Marcoleta,
line?
please continue. Please complete your amendment.
Okay.
Honorable Marcoleta.
For PCO BCS, appropriation for ASEAN Summit and meetings in 2026, located in line 10, page 17, item 2, delete 17,673,000. For PCO NIB, appropriation for ASEAN Summit and meetings 2026, line 11, page 17, item 2, delete 284,000. For PCO Philippine Information Agency, appropriation for ASEAN Summit and meetings in 2026, line 12, page 17, item 2, delete 20,617,000. For PCO PBS RTVM, appropriation for ASEAN Summit and meetings in 2026, line 13, page 17, item 2, delete 807,873,000, and correspondingly add this corresponding sum of 900 million to DepEd OSEC for build or repair of classrooms, and add 450,150,000 to NIA irrigation systems, and add 50 million to DICT, CICC for intelligence funds. That's all for PCO.
What's the pleasure for sponsoring chair?
Madam Speaker, before I respond to the amendment, I would just like to manifest a response of the committee with regard to the first statement of the Honorable Marcoleta. All the proposals with regard to amendments that were submitted by the majority, the minority, and the independents were all deliberated on during the committee hearings as well as the plenary deliberations. And a lot of the proposed amendments from the members of the House were incorporated into the second reading version of the General Appropriations Bill. So siguro po, Madam Speaker, I would just like to respond to that na hindi po totoo na dinideject po natin lahat po ng mga panukalang amyenda. Dahil marami po sa mga panukalang amyenda ay nakapaloob na po doon po sa second reading version ng General Appropriations Bill. So I just wanted to manifest that, Madam Speaker, para naman po malinawan po ang lahat na talaga pong collegial po yung ating body, and we are really harnessing on the collective wisdom of the House in crafting the final version of the General Appropriations Bill. And with that, Madam Speaker, I would like to respond to the proposed amendment of the Honorable Marcoleta pertaining to the budget of the PCO. The agencies that he mentioned po, nalilipatan, we've already put in a lot, particularly around the basic infrastructure, basic enhancement, the BEF, under DepEd and NIA. Ang laki na po ng pinasok natin doon. 39 billion towards the build-out, 35 billion towards building classrooms, and around 18 billion towards the build-out of irrigation canals under NIA. And with that, Madam Speaker, the committee respectfully rejects the proposed amendment of the Honorable Marcoleta.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
There's a motion to reject the proposed amendment. Is there any objection?
Madam Speaker, I would like to register a continuing objection.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there's a motion to reject the proposed amendments which were objected to by the Honorable Marcoleta. I now move to divide the House for the information of the body. An aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment, and a nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There's a motion to reject the proposed amendments which were objected to by the Honorable Marcoleta. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendments say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion say nay.
Nay!
The ayes have it. The amendment is lost.
My,
The amendments are lost.
my second proposed amendment.
Yes, please proceed.
This is towards the rebalancing within the DILG. The PNP takes 73.2% or 210.1 billion of DILG's total budget, and locally funded projects are concentrated in the PNP, overlooking fire safety and jail capacity improvement. Locally funded projects concentrated in the PNP are mainly equipment purchases, like new vehicle purchases that overlap with past unutilized procurements. Fire protection, jail decongestion, and local governance training are underfunded by comparison to the PNP. It is recommended that there be a reprogram for 2% or 4.2 billion of the PNP's 210.149B budget into 2.5B to BFP and 1.7 to BJMP for fire suppression assets and jail infrastructure upgrades. The 4.2 billion can come from locally funded and non-mission critical lines, administrative and duplicative allocations. These amendments are geared towards staying realistic about the tight national fiscal space and rebalancing the ILG's 2026 spending in the direction of outcomes such as fewer fire deaths, jail decongestion, safer jails, more capable LGUs, and enhanced disaster resilience. These seek to trim excess and underperforming allocations and strengthen fire safety and jail management, which are areas where risks are worsening. Madam Speaker, may I proceed with the proposed per line amendments?
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For PNP Personal Services, Administration of Personal Benefits Central Office, found under line 23, page 1185, item 17 of the DILG, reduce 1 million. For construction of new building of the PNP National Headquarters, Phase 2, line 47, page 1196, item 17 of the DILG, reduce 1.2 billion. For PNP One Network, found on line 53, page 1196, item 17 of the DILG, reduce 700 million. For PNP drug-related data integration and generation system, found on page 1196, item 17, DILG, remove 300 million. For Camp General Rafael Crame Safe Camp Security System, found on line 37, page 1196, item 17, reduce 250 million. And for procurement of motor vehicles, found under line 13, page 1187, item 17 of the DILG, reduce 500 million. And under the title Strengthening of the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Capability, lines 15, page 1197, item 17, reduce 250 million. And accordingly, add 2.5 billion to Bureau of Fire Protection, Fire and Emergency, and add 1.7 billion respectively to BJMP, Inmates Safekeeping and Development Program, capital outlays, buildings and other structures for modular dorms, perimeter CCTVs, and clinic upgrades.
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, the committee respectfully rejects the proposed amendment of the Honorable Marcoleta.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
There's a motion to reject the proposed amendment. Is there any objection?
Madam Speaker, I object
Majority
to
Leader.
that motion.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable Marcoleta. I now move to divide the House. An aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment, and the nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There's a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable Marcoleta. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move to recognize Representative Rene Luis M. Co. of Kabataan Party List for her individual amendments.
The Honorable Rene Luis M. Co. from Kabataan Party List is recognized for her individual amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I propose to restore the budget cuts for 25 state universities and colleges or SUCs in the amount of 6,774,964,000 pesos. I am heartened, Madam Chair, by the budget increase to SUCs in the total of 2.8 billion pesos enjoyed by 22 state universities and colleges. Many will benefit from having their priority programs or projects funded, especially Project NOAA for the Filipino people, student buildings in need of desperate rehabilitation, and student services waiting in line for years for funding. I am also heartened by the budget increase of Aurora State College of Technology in the amount of 95 million pesos, resulting in a budget higher than that was granted from GAA 2025. However, that means that from the 26 SUCs that suffered a budget cut for fiscal year 2026, 25 SUCs are still suffering from a budget cut. While we recognize that the Eastern Samar State University received an increase of 70 million, South Cotabato State College received 30 million, and Mindanao State University received additional 14 million, they did not get their 2025 budgets back. So once again, Madam Speaker, I move to restore the budget cuts for 25 state universities and colleges in the amount of estimated 6.7 billion pesos.
What's the pleasure of our sponsoring chair?
Madam Speaker, in order to respond to the proposed amendment by the Honorable Reneco, I believe it is important to highlight what the General Appropriations Bill already provides for as with regard to what the House of Representatives has approved as an increase in the allocation of the SUCs. The first of this would be the payment of deficiencies to SUCs amounting to a total of 12 billion pesos. Isa po yan sa mga pinaka-pangunahing hinihingi ng mga state universities at colleges na atin na pong tinugunan. And just to reiterate, 7.5 billion pesos of that would be coming from the HEDF, and the remaining 4.5 billion pesos will be funded under the General Appropriations Act, as reflected in the current version of the GAB. So, yun po talaga yung pinaka-pangunahing hinihingi ng mga state universities at colleges dahil yung payment po na yon na matatanggap nila, yun po ay pwede na rin nilang gamitin agad-agad para po tugunan yung kanilang mga pangangailangan pagdating po sa pasilidad at operating expenses. We've also added 1.8 billion towards the construction of other facilities in SUCs as well as operating expenses, and an additional 1 billion pesos towards the UP system for Project NOAA. So we have this is on top of the additional funding that we've put in towards the tertiary education subsidy and the Tulong Dunong program, amounting to around 5 billion pesos. And with that, Madam Speaker, the committee reiterates our very strong support for higher education in the state universities and colleges. And as much as we would like to accommodate the proposed amendment, the committee respectfully rejects the proposed amendment of the Honorable Co.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
There's a motion to reject the proposed amendment. Is there any objection?
I object, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable Co. I now move to divide the House. An aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment, and a nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable Co. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, finally, I move to recognize the Honorable Sara Elago of Gabriela Party List for her individual amendments.
The Honorable Sara Lago is recognized for her individual amendment.
Maraming salamat, Madam Speaker. In Volume 1A, page 138, line 27, this representation respectfully proposes to add a budgetary allocation of 5 billion pesos to the Presidential Assistance to Farmers and Fisherfolk. This amendment seeks to raise the amount of direct assistance from 7,000 to 10,000 per beneficiary, covering 1.5 million farmers and fisherfolk nationwide. With this increase, the total allocation for the PAFF will amount to 15 billion pesos. Madam Speaker, our farmers and fisherfolk remain among the poorest of the poor. Many continue to bear the brunt of high rice imports, rising production costs, extreme weather events, and inadequate post-harvest support. Rice farmers from Central Luzon and Cagayan Valley are struggling to recover from repeated floods that have destroyed hectares of palay. Vegetable growers in Benguet face plummeting farm gate prices while their transport costs continue to rise. In coastal communities, fisherfolk report dwindling catch due to destructive reclamation projects and fuel prices that eat up most of their daily income. For too long, Madam Speaker, these sectors have endured mounting debt and the constant threat of climate disasters. We must recognize the indispensable role of our food producers and a necessary step toward ensuring their survival. This representation therefore urges this chamber to approve this amendment as a concrete show of support and solidarity for our farmers and fisherfolk who continue to till our land and sail our seas despite hardship and neglect. Does the sponsor accept this urgent and necessary amendment?
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, tutugon po ako sa panukala ng ating distinguished colleague bilang representante ng unang distrito ng Nueva Ecija. I would be the first person to advocate for additional support and subsidies to our beloved farmers. And yun po yung ginawa natin dito po sa kasalukuyang version ng General Appropriations Bill. From zero, we have increased the funding for the presidential assistance to farmers and fisherfolk to 10 billion pesos. So itinaas po natin ng 10 billion yung maibibigay po natin na tulong sa ating mga pinakamamahal na mga magsasaka. And currently, as per the current guidelines of the PAF, the current guidelines that would be valid until the end of the year that was created by the executive only provides for 7,000 pesos per beneficiary. So we are tied to that as of now, as that is a guideline that was provided for by the executive. But in terms of the current allocation po, the 10 billion pesos that we've provided in the current version of the GAB at 7,000 pesos per beneficiary would benefit 1.43 million farmers. And siguro po, I would also like to discuss this further with our distinguished colleague that perhaps what we would want to do is to provide more assistance to more farmers. So perhaps we can discuss whether we should increase it to 7,000 to 10,000 because that would lower the number of beneficiaries that we could cater. Pero, Madam Speaker, as much as I would like to increase it further by another 5 billion on top of the already 10 billion pesos that we've already provided for, hindi na po kaya ng fiscal space natin. But rest assured po that under the current General Appropriations Bill, meron pong 30 billion pesos sa loob ng Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, and all of those would provide additional mechanization, subsidies for seeds, training, crop insurance to our farmers. Nagdagdag din po tayo ng additional funds sa NFA amounting to 4.3 billion pesos to help the NFA procure more from farmers sa mas mataas na presyo. Kaya ang dami po nating suporta under our current version. If I'm not mistaken, we have increased the budget for agriculture, the agricultural sector as a whole, by 55 billion pesos on top of the original NEP. So, kasama niyo po ako, of course po, bilang representante ng unang distrito ng Nueva Ecija, ang rice granary po ng ating bansa. Gusto ko pong siguraduhin na talagang ibibigay po natin lahat ng pwede nating maibigay sa ating mga magsasaka. And we've already added to the PAF by 10 billion pesos on top of the, and that is included in the total of 55 billion pesos that we have added for agriculture in the current version of the General Appropriations Bill. And with that, Madam Speaker, as much as it pains me to reject the proposed amendment of our distinguished colleague, given the limited fiscal space, the committee respectfully rejects the proposal from our distinguished colleague.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, I echo the statements, the majority and the House echoes the statements of our chairwoman in prioritizing our farmers and those who are in dire need within the agricultural sector. However, as previously mentioned, given the limited fiscal space that we are working with, the House is one with the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
There's a motion to reject
I
the
object,
proposed
Madam
amendment.
Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which is objected to by the Honorable Elago. I now move to divide the House. An aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and a nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable Elago. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader. Honorable Elago, please proceed.
On to another amendment, Madam Speaker. Volume 1B, page 227, under Special Provisions of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, Office of the Secretary, in order to ensure the funding of monthly cash subsidies for solo parents earning minimum wage and below under Section 15 of Republic Act Number 11861 or the expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act, we propose the following amendment. Monthly cash subsidy for solo parents, the amount of 2.9 billion pesos shall be used for the implementation of the monthly cash subsidy of 1,000 pesos of solo parents earning minimum wage and below under Section 15 of RA 11861 or the expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act.
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, my sincerest apologies. May I request our distinguished colleague to please reiterate the proposed amendment, the particular amendment that is being proposed.
Please proceed, Honorable Elago.
Madam Speaker, that is the additional special provision under the DSWD, Office of the Secretary. Monthly cash subsidy for solo parents, the amount of 2.9 billion pesos shall be used for the implementation of the monthly cash subsidy of 1,000 pesos for solo parents earning minimum wage and below, provided under Section 15 of RA number 11861 or the expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act. Does the sponsor accept this amendment?
What does the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, in the current version of the General Appropriations Bill, we have provided a lot to DSWD towards social amelioration programs. We have about an addition, we increased AX, we increased the other support for the other programs, including adolescent parenthood, psychological services, and etc. And as much as we would like to find the additional fiscal space to respond to the particular provision raised by our distinguished colleague, the committee respectfully rejects the proposed amendment by the Honorable Elago.
What does the House say?
The House is one with the comments of our chairwoman, and therefore we join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
There's a motion to
Madam
reject.
Speaker.
Majority Leader.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment which is objected to by the Honorable Elago. I now move to divide the House. An aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment and a nay vote defeats it. The majority once again solicits an aye vote.
There's a motion to reject the proposed amendment which was objected to by the Honorable Elago. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader. The Honorable
And lastly-
Alago,
yes.
for your next amendment, please.
And lastly, Madam Speaker, on the budget for Haven and Shelter Program for women and children in distress. Under the 2026 General Appropriations Bill, only 3 billion pesos has been allocated for this critical service. We propose to increase it to 7.5 billion pesos, an additional 4.5 billion to ensure that every woman and child seeking refuge from violence, abuse, or exploitation can access safe shelter, psychosocial support, and reintegration assistance. Does the sponsor accept this amendment?
What does
Madam
the sponsor say?
Madam Speaker, may I ask what particular line item the Honorable Alago would like to amend?
This is for the Haven and Shelter Program for women and children in distress.
But, Madam Sponsor, please
And the
proceed.
proposal, Madam Speaker, would be an increase of 4.5
Billion pesos
million.
additional funding to respond to the need of the DSWD to cover for the building of havens and shelters for women and children nationwide.
Madam Sponsor?
Madam Speaker, we have provided for a lot of programs under the DSWD. Halimbawa po, we've added around 120 million, if I'm not mistaken, towards the build-out of regional Bahay Pag-asas. We've put in 500 million towards the establishment of the Mindanao Disaster Response Center. So if the Honorable Alago would like to push for the 4.5 million funding, that is something that we can consider moving forward, because we would have to carve out from elsewhere. But as of now po, given the current version of the General Appropriations Bill, the committee would have to respectfully reject the request of the Honorable Alago.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, once again, we echo the sentiments of the Chairwoman of Appropriations, and as a result, join the sponsor in rejecting the said amendment.
There's a motion to
Object, Madam
reject.
Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there is a motion to reject the proposed amendment, which was objected to by the Honorable Elago. I now move to divide the House. Once again, an aye vote sustains the motion to reject the amendment, and a nay vote defeats it. The majority solicits an aye vote.
There is a motion to reject the proposed amendment, which was objected to by the Honorable Elago. All those in favor to reject the proposed amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All those against the motion, say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is lost. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, move to suspend.
Session suspended. Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to recognize the Honorable Serge Dagook from APEC Party List for his individual amendments.
The Honorable Sergio Dagoc from APEC Party List is recognized for his individual amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. Good afternoon, everyone. This proposed special provisions, it does not consider any increase in amount of the budget, but this will only enhance the payment of pole relocation from the DPWH to the electric cooperatives. By authorizing the DPWH to transfer pole relocation funds to NIA, the provision institutionalized a more efficient and transparent process, distinguished sponsor. Furthermore, the joint formulation of implementing guidelines by the Department of Public Works and Highways and the National Electrification Administration guarantees consistency with existing laws, rules, and regulations, such as the Government Auditing Code and pertinent circulars of the Department of Budget and Management and the Commission on Audit. This shall hasten project implementation as well as project the financial viability of affected electric distribution utility while ensuring accountability in the use of the subsidy for the pole relocation. With that, this representation would like to propose the following special provision in the budget of the Department of Public Works and Highways. In the implementation of the foregoing, the Department of Public Works and Highways may enter to a memorandum of agreement with the National Electrification Administration for the relocation of electric distribution and transmission lines affected by the DPWH projects. With that, we delete the phrase exclusively under special provision number 15, right of way acquisition and payment of the substantial obligations. That would be my proposed special provision, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor.
What's the pleasure for sponsoring chair?
Madam Speaker, with regard to the proposed amendment of the Honorable Dagoc, currently there is a line item within the budget of the DPWH under right-of-way, which provides for payment of utility relocation, including electric cooperatives. We recognize the concern of the Honorable Dagoc that we would like to ensure that the electric cooperatives are paid. And given that it's already there in the budget of the DPWH, and it's already provided for as a separate line item in the General Appropriations Bill, the committee accepts the proposed amendment of the Honorable Dagoc.
What does the House say?
Madam Speaker, we join the sponsor in accepting the said amendment.
There's a motion to approve the proposed amendment. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
Thank you, distinguished sponsor. Thank you, Majority Leader. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no other member who wishes to propose individual amendments, I move to close the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The period of amendments is closed. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to approve on second reading House Bill number 4058 as amended.
There's a motion to approve on second reading House Bill number 4058 as amended. Those are in favor of the bill, say aye.
Aye.
Those are against, say nay. The ayes have it. House Bill number 4058 is approved on second reading as amended. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, there being no business left for the day, I move to adjourn session until Monday, the 13th of October, 2025. I so move.
Session is adjourned.
Monday, 1 p.m., 13th of October, 2025.
Session is adjourned until October 13, Monday at 1 p.m. Congratulations, everyone.